said it's too hot to stay inside. I grabbed my keys, you brought the sunglasses. We left the whole day open wide. The city disappeared behind us. The radio was playing low. You put your hand outside the window just to feel which way we'd go. No reservations, no place to be. Just a little more road and a little less heat. Windows down, no plans, cool air running through our hands. Take the long way, miss the signs. We got nowhere else to be tonight. Windows down, no plans, let the whole day happen as it can. If we find the water, we'll jump right in. If we don't, we'll keep driving. We stopped somewhere for cold drinks. The ice was melting way too fast. You drew a smile across the window, then laughed before I even asked. The song came on, we almost knew we got every other word wrong. You turned it up a little louder, and somehow that became our song. No reservations, no place to be. The sky getting wider the farther we leave. Windows down, no plans, cool air running through our hands. Take the long way, miss the signs. We got nowhere else to be tonight. Windows down, no plans, let the whole day happen as it can. If we find the water, we'll jump right in. If we don't, we'll keep driving. Maybe tomorrow we'll go back to Clark's. Closed windows and crowded blocks, but not yet. The road is clear, and for once we're already here. Windows down, no plans, blue sky stretching where it can. Take the long way, miss the signs, leave the hardest part of town behind. Windows down, no plans, cold drinks sweating in your hands. If the daylight wants to stay a while, let it stay. We're still driving. You looked over and said, should we turn back? I said, not yet. The sky was blue at 2:30, and suddenly it wasn't. You looked up just before it fell and said, well, here it comes then. We could have run beneath the awning like everybody else, but you were laughing in the middle, so I stayed there as well. The whole street changed in a minute or two. The heat disappeared, and so did our shoes. We let the rain decide where we were going. No map, no place we had to be. Running through the side streets, laughing for no reason. Summer coming down around our feet. We let the rain decide, and for a little while, nothing in the world needed a plan. We found a tiny corner store and bought 2 shirts to change in. Mine was 3 sizes too big. Yours had a palm tree painted. We sat outside beneath the roof with something cold to drink. You said this wasn't what we planned. I said that's why I like it. The clouds moved on, the pavement shined. The whole afternoon felt new outside. We let the rain decide where we were going. No map, no place we had to be. Walking through the wet streets, nowhere in a hurry. Cool air moving through the trees. We let the rain decide, and for a little the rain decide, and somehow ended up exactly where we wanted to be. No perfect summer picture, no reason to remember. Still I know this one will stay with me. We let the rain decide the rest of the afternoon, and honestly, it did alright. The forecast said clear skies all day. We laughed when we saw it. We found a place beside the water, a little farther down the coast. No crowded chairs, no colored umbrellas, just a road that almost disappeared. You left your sandals by the railing and walked straight into the blue. I said the water might be freezing. You said, then what else should we do? The sun was high, the air stood still. Then you ran in and broke the heat. The water looked better from here, with the whole blue sky around us. Nothing but the sound of summer rolling in and out again. We could stay until the evening, let the daylight take its time. The water looked better from here, and I think we did too. We bought 2 lemon sodas from a place across the street. The bottles turned cold in our hands before the shade could reach our feet. You drew a circle in the sand and watched the tide erase it. I don't know what you were thinking, you just smiled and let it happen. No need to move, no need to know how long the afternoon would go. The water looked better from here, with the whole blue sky around us. Nothing but the sound of summer rolling in and out again. We could stay until the evening, let the daylight take its time. The water looked better from here, and I think we did too. Salt on our skin, sand in the car, windows open all the way home. The kind of day you don't plan and somehow don't want to end. The water looked better from here when the afternoon turned golden. Still warm enough to stay outside, still early enough not to leave. We didn't need a perfect summer, just somewhere the air felt new. The water looked better from here, maybe everything did too. You asked, same place tomorrow. I said, why not? It was too hot to cross the city. The pavement shimmered in the sun. We'd already finished all our cold drinks, and the afternoon had just begun. Then somewhere past the crowded corner, we heard the water before we saw a little fountain in the open. And suddenly we had no plans at all. You kicked your shoes off, left them in the shade, Look back at me like, are you coming or not? Meet me where the water falls, where the air feels 10 degrees cooler. We can stay until the heat lets go, and the whole day moves a little slower. Meet me where the water falls, let the city carry on without us. For a minute we don't need much, just cold water and a little bit of summer. A little kid was chasing rainbows where the sunlight hit the spray. You tried to catch one in your hands, then laughed when it slipped away. We sat beneath the tree, still dripping cold lemonade between us both. You said, I think we found the best place. I said, don't tell anyone we know. The bus is past, the traffic moved, but underneath the trees the air felt new. Meet me where the water falls, where the air feels 10 degrees cooler. We can stay until the heat lets go, and the whole day moves a little slower. Meet me where the water falls, let the city carry on without us. For a minute we don't need much, just cold water and a little bit of summer. By 5 o'clock, our clothes were dry. The shadows stretched across the square. We should have left an hour ago. Neither of us seemed to care. Meet me where the water falls, when the summer feels too heavy. We'll find a place beneath the trees and let the cool air come and get us. Meet me where the water falls, no reservation, no occasion, just another afternoon that turned into the one we kept. You put your shoes back on and said, tomorrow? I said, bring a towel. The heat followed us. The heat followed us down the sidewalk till we found a door half open wide. A little bell rang when we walked in, and cool air met us from inside. You started flipping through the records like you had nowhere else to be. I found a chair beside the speakers. You held one up and looked at me. No, this one. I shook my head. You smiled and said, then listen. We stayed beside me, but we only came in to get out of the heat. One song became two, then the whole afternoon disappeared underneath that old ceiling fan and a melody neither of us had heard before. We stayed for side B, then stayed for one more. The owner played an old blue record, said this one's better after 3. You laughed and asked him what that meant. He said, you'll have to wait and see. So we did. The sunlight moved across the counter. The street outside was burning white, but in that little room of music, nobody seemed to mind the time. No place to go, no reason to leave. The needle dropped and we stayed in our seats. We stayed for side B, though we only came in to get out of the heat. One song became two, then the whole afternoon disappeared underneath that old ceiling fan and a melody neither of us had heard before. We stayed for side B, then stayed for one more. By the time we stepped outside, the air had changed. The sun was low. You carried one record under your arm, the one we didn't know. We stayed for side B, and I still remember the first few notes. The door half open, the fan turning slowly. The cool air on our clothes. Maybe summer is made of days like these, when nowhere turns into somewhere. We stayed for side B and found a song to take home. You played it again that night. This time I knew the words. We thought we'd call it a day, somewhere around 6:30. Then stepped outside and found the sky still bright enough for anything. You looked at me and checked the time, like maybe a phone had got it wrong. I said we could walk a little farther. You said I was hoping you'd say that. No reason to rush, no night coming yet. The whole evening still ahead. It's still light at 8, so why are we going home? There's a little more sky and a little more road. We can take our time, let the evening wait. Summer doesn't last forever, but tonight it's still light at 8. We found a table on the sidewalk, ordered something cold to share. The ice kept turning in the glasses while warm wind moved through your hair. Someone opened all the windows, music drifted from inside. You knew the chorus, I knew nothing. Still I sang the last few lines. The shadows grew long, but nobody moved. The day wasn't finished, neither were we. It's still light at 8, so why are we going home? There's a little more sky and a little more road. We can take our time, let the evening wait. Summer doesn't last forever, but tonight it's still light at 8. By 9:15, the street lights came on, one at a time. You looked up like you'd forgotten the day could end. I think I had to. It was still light at 8. Now the sky's turning blue, the kind that only happens in the middle of June. We took our time and and let the evening stay. Summer doesn't last forever. Maybe that's what makes it feel this way. You ask, what time is it now? I said, don't check. You called me just before 7. Said it's already getting warm. I met you waiting by the corner with your old blue helmet on. The streets were quieter than usual. Every light was turning green. You said let's go before the traffic, so we followed where it led. No cars behind us, no plans ahead, just morning air and open streets. Before the city woke up, we were already gone, riding past the empty windows with the early sun coming on. Before the heat could find us, before the streets filled up, we had the whole morning, and somehow that was enough. We stopped beside a little market for 2 bottles cold as ice. You held yours against your forehead, said this might have saved my life. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped mine. You said don't waste the best part. Then we sat there on the sidewalk watching morning slowly start. The shutters open one by one, the quiet city coming undone. Before the city woke up, we were already gone, riding past the empty windows with the early sun coming on. Before the heat could find us, before the streets filled up, we had the whole morning, and somehow that was enough. By 10 o'clock, the air had changed. The sidewalk shimmered in the heat. We turned around, but took our time. There was still a little breeze. Before the city woke up, we had it to ourselves. Every empty intersection, every shadow on the ground. Before the day got louder, before we had to rush, we found a few cool hours at the beginning of the summer. You said, same time tomorrow. I said, make it 7:30. You laughed, too late. You called me at 9:20. Said, tell me you're still awake. I said, that depends on the reason. You said, get your shoes, we're late. The heat was still on the pavement, though the sun had disappeared. You were waiting by the corner, like you planned this all year. 20 minutes, maybe less. You checked the time, I said we'll make it. The ice cream shop closes at 10, so we're running through the warm night air. closes at 10, and suddenly that matters most. 2 streets left, 9:56. Come on, we're almost close. We made it with a minute left. The guy inside just shook his head. You couldn't choose between 2 flavors, so you ordered both instead. We sat outside beneath the street lights before the first one had time to melt. You said that was way too dramatic. I said it didn't feel like it. The doors were locked, the sign went dark, but we were still sitting where we were. The ice cream shop closed at 10, but we had nowhere left to run. Just 2 paper cups between us and the heat finally letting up. The whole street felt a little cooler, the city quieter than before. Funny how a 20-minute mission can turn into something more. No photograph, no big event, nothing we planned or meant to keep. Just melted ice cream on your hand and summer air around our feet. The ice cream shop closed at 10, and we stayed until 11:30, talking about absolutely nothing under a sky that wouldn't end. Maybe summer is just this, a small reason to leave the house. A night that should have lasted 20 minutes, still going somehow. You looked at the empty cup and said, same time tomorrow. I said, maybe somewhere that closes later. Yeah. The fan stopped turning at 2:30. The room went quiet all at once. I checked the lights, you checked the hallway. Someone downstairs said, well, that's done. 10 minutes later we were outside, looking for the little shade. The whole block had the same idea, like somebody called a parade. No elevators, no TV, just every window open, looking for a breeze. The day the power went out, everybody came outside. Someone brought a radio, someone found a bag of ice. Kids were running through the sprinklers, neighbors pulled their chairs around. Funny what you start to notice when everything shuts down. The corner store gave out cold sodas before the freezer lost the fight. Mrs. Lee brought watermelon and said, we'd better eat it all tonight. You found a deck of cards upstairs. We played until we lost the score. I knew the people in that building better than I had before. The sun went down, the air turned cool. Nobody seemed in any rush to move. The day the power went out, we stayed beneath the open sky. Someone lit a row of candles, someone taught us funny how the darkest evening made the whole block come alive. Then just before 11, every window lit at once. The fans began to turn again, the radio came back on. Everybody cheered for half a minute, then nobody went inside. The day the power went out, we found a summer we'd forgotten. Cold watermelon on the steps, and every door left open. We thought we lost the whole afternoon, but maybe we got something back. The day the power went out was the night we stayed outside. The lights were on the day the power went out. The air was cool still. We stayed a little longer. We got there 20 minutes late. The opening scene was already gone. You blamed the line at the taco stand. I said you took too long to choose. We found 2 seats behind a tree, could barely see the bottom half. You whispered, do you know what's happening? I said, not even close to that. The screen lit up the warm night air. You passed the popcorn like we belonged there. The movie started without us, but we didn't miss a thing. We had the stars above the screen and summer in the evening breeze. You kept asking what was happening, I kept making up the scenes. The movie started without us, but somehow we found our own story. A plane flew slowly through the picture. Someone's dog ran down the aisle. The people in the row behind us couldn't stop laughing for a while. You guessed the ending halfway through and somehow got the whole thing wrong. But then I wasn't really watching, I was having too much fun. The night cooled down, the lights stayed low. Nobody moved when the credits rolled. The movie started without us, but we didn't miss a thing. We had the stars above the screen and summer in the evening breeze. You kept asking what was happening, I kept making up the scenes. The movie started without us, but somehow we found our own story. I don't remember who won the fight or why they left or who came back. I only remember you trying not to laugh when everyone else was quiet. The movie started without us and ended sometime after 10. The screen went dark, the crowd went home, but we stayed sitting there instead, still arguing about the ending of a story we had barely seen. The movie started without us. Maybe that was the best part. You asked, was it any good? I said, I think so. You laughed. You weren't watching. The temperature hit 95 before we even made it noon. You said, I think the sidewalk's melting. I said, I think I might be too. We saw the automatic doors and felt the cold before we stepped inside. You stopped beneath the air conditioner and said, I live here now. Goodbye. We only came to buy a drink, but then you found a frozen idol in the coldest place in town. We forgot how hot it was outside, standing by the freezer doors, taking way too long to decide. Cherry ice or lemonade, you changed your mind about 5 times in the coldest place in town. We were doing summer right. We wandered past the watermelons, tried every sample they would give. You found a pair of cheap sunglasses, said, "Be honest, can I pull these off?" I said, "Absolutely not." You wore them anyway, then danced beneath the ceiling speakers till an old man did the same. We checked the time, an hour had gone. We bought 2 drinks and carried on in the coldest place in town. We forgot how hot it was outside, standing by the freezer doors, taking way too long to decide. Cherry ice or lemonade, you changed your mind about 5 times in the coldest place in town. We were doing summer right. Then the door slid open, heat rushed in. You took 1 step and turned around again. 5 more minutes, I laughed. Fine. So back we went to the coldest place in town, where the freezer hummed and the radio played. We had nowhere else to hide from the hottest hour of the day. 2 cold bottles in our hands, cheap sunglasses you refused to take off. In the coldest place in town, we found a pretty good way to cool off. We finally left at 4:30, made it 10 steps. Then you said, "Should we go back for ice cream?" We only came up for the laundry before the evening air turned cool. You dropped a shirt across the railing. I said, "That's definitely gone for good." It landed on the neighbor's balcony. You laughed until you couldn't speak. Then someone turned the radio on somewhere across the street. The sun was lower, the breeze came through. We should have gone downstairs, but neither of us moved. We only came up for the laundry. Now the whole sky's turning blue. Someone brought a bag of peaches, someone else brought something cool. The city kept on moving, 7 floors below our feet. We only came up for the laundry, but summer had somewhere else to be. The neighbors from the 5th floor joined us, though I never knew their names. Someone found a string of old lights, half of them worked anyway. We passed the beaches round in circles, cold juice running down our hands. You said, "How did this even happen?" I said, "I don't think anyone planned it." The rooftops glowed, the air felt new, and every open window had a different point of view. was there. At 10 o'clock, someone remembered the clothes were still outside. We found your missing shirt 2 floors below and laughed for the second time. We only came up for the laundry on the hottest day that week. Now we're sitting under string lights with the night air finally cool. Nothing big was supposed to happen. Maybe that's what made it good. We only came up for the laundry and stayed because we could. You picked up the basket, looked around and said, "Tomorrow?" I smiled. "Bring more peaches." You stopped beside a roadside stand before I knew what caught your eye. A wooden table full of peaches underneath the striped white sign. The woman said, "They're sweeter today." You took that as a guarantee. We only meant to buy a couple. You came back carrying 15. The windows down, the box between us, and the whole car smelling like July. We bought too many peaches. Now we're giving them away. 1 for every neighbor, 2 for later in the day. Juice running down our fingers, sunlight dancing through the trees. We bought too many peaches, but you never do anything halfway with me. We ate the first one at a red light, the second somewhere down the road. By number 3, you started laughing, said we should probably take these home. We left a bag outside your sister's, dropped another at my door. By sunset there were 7 missing, and somehow we still had more. The air turned cool, the sky stayed bright, and everything smelled sweet that night. We bought too many peaches. Now we're giving them away. 1 for every neighbor, 2 for later in the day. Juice running down our fingers, sunlight dancing through the trees. We bought too many peaches, and honestly, that sounds like you and me. By Sunday morning they were softer, so we made the worst pie. It leaned a little to the left. You called it rustic, so did I. We bought too many peaches on an ordinary summer day. Some became a crooked pie, most were given away. I can still remember that sweet smell inside the car. We bought too many peaches, and somehow that became the best part. Next summer, when we passed that stand, I'm driving, you laughed. That's probably smart. The calendar said summer was ending, but nobody told the afternoon. The grass was warm beneath our bare feet. The sky was still impossibly blue. Your towel was hanging by the doorway. The screen kept letting in the breeze. We had a bowl of melting cherries, and nowhere we needed to be. The days were getting shorter. We tried not to notice yet. There was still enough sunlight to make us forget. August left the porch light on, like it wasn't ready to go. Warm air drifting through the windows, bare feet on the wooden floor. We knew September was coming, but it could wait outside the door. August left the porch light on, so we stayed a little more. The fan was turning in the kitchen. An old song played from someone's car. You tried to name every constellation before there were any stars. We finished all the cherries, left the empty bowl outside, then watched the evening change its colors without saying goodbye. The shadows stretched longer, the first cool breeze came through. For a second it felt different, I think you felt it too. August left the porch light on, like it wasn't ready to go. Warm air drifting through the windows, bare feet on the wooden floor. We knew September was coming, but it could wait outside the door. August left the porch light on, so we stayed a little more. Tomorrow, the mornings might feel different. The streets might fill again. But tonight, the windows are still open, and summer isn't over yet. August left the porch light on, and the whole night stayed outside. Crickets singing in the garden, one last glass filled up with ice. We didn't try to hold the summer, we just let it take its time. August left the porch light on, and for one more night, so did we. The light stayed on long after midnight. Nobody went to turn it off. We got there right when they opened. The chairs were still lined in a row. The water looked almost untouched, blue in the early morning glow. You left your towel on the railing, walked straight to the deepest side. I was still taking off my sunglasses when you disappeared from sight. 1 second quiet, then a splash. You came back laughing. Come on, it's not that bad. We were the first ones in the water before the sun climbed too high. Cool blue moving all around us, nothing but the open sky. We were the first ones in the water while the whole day waited outside for an hour. Summer felt easy and everything felt light. By 9, the speakers started playing some song we both almost knew. You floated slowly on your back while I watched the clouds move through. We raced from one end to the other. You won and called it not even close. I blamed the water, you blamed nothing. which somehow made it worse. The shadows moved, the air grew warm, but underneath the surface we didn't feel it at all. We were the first ones in the water before the sun climbed too high. Cool blue moving all around us, nothing but the open sky. We were the first ones in the water while the whole day waited outside for an hour. Summer felt easy and everything felt light. By noon, the chairs were full, the pavement too hot for bare feet. We sat beneath the striped umbrella, cold bottles against our cheeks. You said we came at the right time. I think we did. We were the first ones in the water. Now the whole place had come alive. Music playing, people talking, sunlight flashing in our eyes. But I still like that first hour better, when the blue was ours alone. First ones in the water before the summer day really began. Tomorrow, same time, maybe 5 minutes earlier. We heard it 2 streets away, that little song we used to know. You looked up from the kitchen table, said there's no way we'll catch it though. Then somewhere past the open window, the music started getting faint. You grabbed your shoes without a question. I was already at the gate. Down the sidewalk, past the light, you were laughing, go, 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 it's turning right. We heard it 2 streets away and ran like we were 10 again. Through the heat of the afternoon, trying not to lose that sound. We heard it 2 streets away, getting quieter every turn. Maybe we were chasing ice cream, something we remembered. We caught it by the little playground, both of us completely out of breath. The driver waited by the corner, like he'd seen this all before. You chose the same one as you always did. I tried something I couldn't name. We sat beneath the only shady tree while everything began to melt. Sticky hands, warm concrete, that little song still down the street. We heard it 2 streets away and ran like we were 10 again. Through the heat of the afternoon, trying not to lose that sound. We heard it 2 streets away, and somehow for a little while the whole summer felt as simple as choosing what would make us smile. I hadn't heard that melody in years, but somehow I still knew exactly when the next note came, and somehow so did you. We heard it 2 streets away. Now the truck was almost gone. That little tune around the corner, getting smaller as it moved on. We sat there with the sun above us and nothing we needed to say. We heard it 2 streets away, and for a moment we were 10 again. You looked at mine and said, "Can I try it?" I said, "You said you didn't want that one." I changed my mind. Of course you did. We heard it 2 streets away. that little song we used to know. You looked up from the kitchen table, said there's no way we'll catch it though. Then somewhere past the open window, the music started getting faint. You grabbed your shoes without a question. I was already at the gate. Down the sidewalk, past the light, you were laughing, go, 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 it's turning right. We heard it 2 streets away and ran like we were 10 again. Through the heat of the afternoon, trying not to lose that sound. We heard it 2 streets away, getting quieter every turn. Maybe we were chasing ice cream, maybe something we remembered. We caught it by the little playground, both of us completely out of breath. The driver waited by the corner, like he'd seen this all before. You chose the same one as you always did. I tried something I couldn't name. We sat beneath the only shady tree while everything began to melt. Sticky hands, warm concrete, that little song still down the street. We heard it 2 streets away and ran like we were 10 again. Through the heat of the afternoon, trying not to lose that sound. We heard it 2 streets away, and somehow for a little while the whole summer felt as simple as choosing what would make us smile. I hadn't heard that melody in years, but somehow I still knew exactly when the next note came, and somehow so did you. We heard it 2 streets away. Now the truck was almost gone. That little tune around the corner, getting smaller as it moved on. We sat there with the sun above us and nothing we needed to say. We heard it 2 streets away. For a moment, we were 10 again. You looked at mine and said, "Can I try it?" I said. You said you didn't want that one. I changed my mind. Of course you did.